This is KGW News at
It was a very violent night in the city of Portland.
Portland police and just about all of us overwhelmed by the amount of shootings happening in the city. Coming up, hear why the increase in crime is putting even more stress on officers right now.
Another major issue for Portland that's also in our news this morning, the widespread impact that homeless camps have on city neighborhoods. Coming up in less than 10 minutes, KGW investigator Kyle Aboshi breaks it down for us using the sad example that's been playing out in one Southeast Portland neighborhood. Plus,
I think most of them are not hazardous, but the problem is if you haven't tested them, how do you know?
Yeah, she's talking about chemicals. They're in everything, cleaning products, makeup, but do you really know what they can do? Coming up this morning, some interesting insights from OSU researchers who are trying to find the answer to that question.
Good morning to you. Happy Friday Eve. I always get excited when I hear Friday and then you have to, Eve.
Eve
it's
is
just
still
Thursday.
good.
It's Thursday. You know what? It feels a little bit warmer today.
Yes, it is. Yes.
It was feeling quite fallish this week.
You are a summer lover? Go ahead. Let people know. She is.
I am.
All right, so for summer lovers, here we go. We get back up in the 80s. We keep basically clear skies all the way through Labor Day Monday, I should say, and it all starts today. Nina mentioned temps are a little bit warmer. That is true. Now, with that said, there's still a few cool spots. Hillsborough, Gresham, Camas, Sandy, Troutdale, all down into the 40s to start. Salem's at 51. Kaiser's at 50 degrees. Again, skies are clear. We think we'll stay clear all day long. PDX is 58. Here comes the warm-up, 72 at noon. There is the warm-up, 85 this afternoon.
All right, we'll see you in a few minutes, Rod. Thank you. Portland police dealing with a recent flurry of violence around the city. They responded to 9 shootings in just a span of 16 hours. So the first call came in around noon Tuesday. The 9th happened at 4:30 in the morning yesterday. They spanned from St. John's to the Springwater Trail in Southeast. In one of the shootings, a person went to the hospital with critical injuries. In another, the intended target wasn't hurt, but their service dog was killed. For people who live in these areas, the numbers are discouraging.
It's not something that's like a big surprise with as much as it's been increasing. That amount in that little of time, yeah.
Police say Portland is up to 830 shootings this year and 62 homicides. Investigators so far have not connected any of the recent shootings to each other, but they do need help with people coming forward with information. Oregon also seeing a disturbing trend when it comes to hate crimes.
yeah, the FBI says those types of crimes were up 60% last year. So here are the exact numbers. The FBI says there were 271 hate crimes in 2020. There were only 170 back in 2019. And the leading motivator behind these crimes, race or ethnicity. In fact, it was involved in 70% of these cases. The FBI also says hate crimes are historically underreported, and that's why they want to change how things currently work.
And number 2, we know hate crime. It's extremely troubling to know that we have members of our community that have been victimized, that are suffering in silence out there, that are too afraid or too concerned to come forward to law enforcement, let alone the FBI. We want to reverse that trend.
Just yesterday, the FBI started an awareness campaign that encourages people to report hate crimes, whether it's directly to the FBI or to local law enforcement agencies.
Also this morning, there are new developments out of Newberg. The school board there met again last night and was expected to rescind its ban on Black Lives Matter and pride flags. But as Mike Benner reports, the board couldn't agree on a path forward.
Jonathan, what, Dave?
I'm gonna cut this off, Dave.
No, you're not, Brian. You're not cutting it off. Rebecca has a question.
Cutting this off.
How are you cutting this off? How are you cutting this off?
Tense moments at the Newberg School Board's virtual meeting Wednesday night, and it's really no surprise. Board members have been butting heads for weeks. Just last month, the board voted to ban Pride and Black Lives Matter flags in district facilities, and they voted to ban staff from wearing Pride and BLM attire while at work. On Wednesday night, we expected the board to walk back that ban and refer it to the policy committee for policy development.
My concerns are around the legal ramifications. Our policies are based on law, and this will be, to my current understanding, illegal.
That explains why Director Brandy Penner wanted to rescind the ban altogether and not even give the policy committee a chance to rework it. But Director Brian Shannon saw things differently.
I think that the motion is enforceable if certain parties wanted to enforce it.
Director Shannon, along with Directors Brown, Powell, and DeHart, a majority, voted to table the discussion for another day. This means nothing has changed from last month. The board as a whole is still in favor of banning Pride and BLM symbols in district buildings. And here's the thing. If this directive ever does make it to the policy committee, don't expect much to change. The committee is made up of 2 directors who are in favor of the ban and only 1 who is against it. And when committee assignments came up for discussion Wednesday night, more discord.
I don't believe it's appropriate for members to question the committee assignments.
Why not?
That's never been done before.
Yeah.
Yes,
It has. Yes, it has.
It is entirely the chair's prerogative to assign committees.
A lot of tension on that Newberg School Board and a lot of eyes on what's happening there, and that includes the ACLU of Oregon. They sent a letter to the school board calling the BLM and Pride ban ill-considered and unlawful. The ACLU is urging the board to retract its actions immediately or prepare for a showdown in court. We'll, of course, stay on top of the story. I'm Mike Benner for KGW News.
All right, let's get to 3 things to know about COVID this morning. We start with number 1, Oregon OSHA, saying it's received 75 mask complaints this week and over 1,000 since mid-August when the state's new indoor mask mandate went into effect. We also found out that OSHA hasn't cited or fined anyone since that time. OSHA says it only has 85 compliance officers plus an additional 34 consultants to cover the entire state. OSHA consultants, by the way, are people who don't have enforcement positions, but they can still work with employers to get them back on the right track of compliance. Number 2, the Oregon Department of Human Services has reopened COVID surge and recovery facilities at nursing homes around the state. Those facilities help care for overflow patients who are recovering from COVID. The order went out to 9 different facilities. One's in Tigard, Lake Oswego, Eugene, Roseburg, and Bend, and 2 facilities each in both Salem and Medford. And number 3, the Seattle Children's Hospital has reported its first COVID death. They say the patient died on Tuesday of this week, but the hospital didn't reveal the patient's exact age, vaccination status, or if they had a pre-existing condition. And those are 3 things to know about COVID this morning.
Now to Portland's homeless crisis, and we tend to think of these tent camps as one large problem, but each is different and has a different impact in the neighborhood where it's set up. Kyle Aboshi took a look at the impact just one camp has had on just one neighborhood. And it's a story about how lives are changed by struggle. Here's an excerpt.
To better understand the impact of an encampment, we zeroed in on Southeast Powell and 57th, where over the past 2 years, residents have filed more than 1,000 complaints about illegal camping on the city's website.
You got prostitution, drug selling, someone might get drunk. Yeah, it's pretty sad.
Paul Woods, who lives a block and a half away from the encampment, said it's not unusual for trouble to spill into the neighborhood, including petty crime like vandalism and theft.
I got motion lights all around the place. Put heavy screens on the doors.
It's really deflating.
A few families have decided to sell their homes to get away from the encampment.
It's really hard. We love our neighbors and the neighborhood, and it's been tough. It was bittersweet for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
After 16 years in the Foster Powell neighborhood, Keely Montgomery and her family are packing up and moving to Tigard. She's sympathetic to those living in the encampment, but after repeatedly finding hypodermic needles on the sidewalk, having bikes stolen, and all the stress, Montgomery has had enough.
Our hope is that, these people get help too, and it's not just, it's not just about us, it's about them too.
With hundreds of camps in Portland and in areas all over the state, the concerns affect thousands of people. When you get a chance, it is really worth watching the whole story on our YouTube page. It's pretty informative.
Well, the remnants of Hurricane Ida are still causing problems this morning. The storm is pounding the Northeast with wind and rain. Some areas of New Jersey saw up to 7 inches of rain. And look at that. A tornado was caught on camera in the city of Burlington. That storm has killed at least 8 people in New Jersey and New York. Both states remain under states of emergency. In all, 70 million people are under a flood watch. To put the danger in perspective, take a look at that school bus. It got stuck in the high water in Maryland yesterday. The driver and several children had to be rescued. This morning, happy to say they're all safe, but boy, was that a close call. And then coming up tomorrow, President Biden is planning a trip to Louisiana to survey the hurricane damage there. New Orleans still doesn't have power. A lot of people don't have water. It is a big mess. So, Rod, since this came ashore, there's a lot to talk about. What do we need to know this morning?
Well, let's start with where the storm is. And in terms of active weather, that part of the story is almost completely done. So that's good news. We now have New York is dry, Boston is dry, Cape Cod just starting to see dry weather begin to move in. Maine still seeing some rain, but the worst of it looks to be over, and Maine will be drying out a little bit later today as well. Flooding, a huge deal. We had a number of tornadoes, and of course tornadoes not unusual with any tropical system, but there were a number of them, and that unfortunately made a bad situation even worse yesterday for much of the Northeast. So rain amounts, Central Park, well, this really grabs your attention because I think a lot of us can kind of picture Central Park, right? They had 7 inches of rain. There was 1 hour that picked up right about 3 inches in an hour. Really hard to imagine, right? Newark Airport, nearly 8 inches of rain. Down New Orleans, just shy of 13 3/4. Of course, this is where the storm came on shore as a hurricane. The center was just west of New Orleans. Wilmer, Alabama, in southern Alabama, picked up over 11 inches. And then Plymouth, Massachusetts, where the storm is just now exiting, has already picked up around 5. So we're still waiting to see what their total rain will be. Wow. Okay, here at home, completely opposite. We are perfectly clear out there this morning. Going to be a stretch of very nice weather, but it will be getting warm. We're at 58 degrees right now out at PDX. It's 51 in Salem. It's still cool in some spots. Kelso and Astoria at 48. Burns and Baker City are at 39 degrees. If you are at the coast today, it will be one of those beautiful, absolutely sunny days. Some spots will get up into the 70s. And a quick look at the 7-day. 85 for Portland. Again, today's the day we start to warm back up. We're in the 80s all the way through Labor Day, and that's your forecast.
All right, Rod, here's what's coming up next on Sunrise. Thousands of chemicals are added to products that we use every day, and those chemicals are untested. So we're going to show you how researchers at Oregon State University are working to make sure we all know which ones of those chemicals are actually safe. Before that story, though, we have this one. People on social media claiming U.S. military service dogs were left behind in cages at the Kabul airport in Afghanistan. Our Verify team looks into it right after this short break.